Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I am so excited because I have an amazing healer, just an amazing, fantastic person here with me today. His name is Addison. Thank you so much, Addison, for your generosity and everything that you're going to share with us today. For those of us who aren't familiar with your work, would you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Nikki, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Sure. And my name is Addison Ames, and you can find out more about me at AddisonAmes.com. That's AddisonAmes.com. And I'm an awakened thought leader, speaker, channel, and work with people and healer. And I work with people in a number of ways, including soul work, timelines work, archangelic healing. Um, I do channeling sessions with Metatron. I'm a full body channel for Metatron. I offer life guidance sessions, which are kind of like spiritual life coaching sessions. And I offer courses on core human understandings with enlightened ideas added to them. So that's things like a premarital course, a course for couples on love, a course on relationships, a course on abundance, prosperity, and personal value, and a number of other really exciting courses, even one on freedom and sovereignty. And they are 5 week courses, pretty intense and pretty wonderful. You learn a lot, come out a changed person. So people can also check out my YouTube channel, Addison Ames on YouTube, and also join me on Facebook, Addison Ames there, and also on LinkedIn. And would love to connect with anyone who is interested in connecting.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And I
Sure.
personally received some timeline healings from Addison, and they were fantastic, phenomenal. I literally couldn't stop talking about them. And then all my friends were like, I want to know who this is. But today we are here for something very, very special. You had mentioned the different levels of angelic beings um and that's something I've never heard before. So I would love for you to share that with us today.
For sure. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you, Nikki, and all who watch through this presentation. So this is an overview of what I call creator, sustainer, enforcer, healer, and helper beings. And this is just an overview. This is the way I see things. And Nikki, as you know, you're a very powerful and wonderful healer. I too have received a powerful and wonderful healing from Nikki. We've had some wonderful exchange of blessings. So, Nikki, I'm a big fan of yours and really believe in your work. You've really helped change and transform my life for the better. And I appreciate your friendship and your energy in my life. So, thank you. And, in working with Nikki, we understood how powerful she is, really. And in a way, she's kind of part of this family of beings. Hope you don't mind me saying, Nikki. So the beauty of this presentation is it brings to life all the different kinds of beings that are out there working with and for humanity to help it transform, ascend, awaken, know, and grow so that it can move into higher understandings of itself. So most people are familiar with the name angel or archangel. It's pretty common all around the world, but they are just part of a larger strata of beings out there, from very high dimensional beings down to earth angels, that all work to help create at all the different levels, sustain, keep life moving, enforce, help enforce creation rule sets. Those are rules, sets of rules that are out there that creation abides by. As most of you know, there are rules to life. Our body operates within a rule set. Our society, the human, operates within lots of rule sets. So there are beings out there that help actually enforce those creator level rule sets. There are also healer beings and helper beings at many different levels that work with the creation ideas to help keep them in perfect form, stay healed, and help them to kind of do what they need to do as they work on their own growth path. So this is an overview. This is the way that I see them. You may see things a little differently. All who watch may see things a little bit differently. Everyone has their own perspective. So this today I'm providing is my perspective on these creator, sustainer, enforcer, healer, and helper beings. So a message really for all of you who watch this is transform yourself. And I checked in before kind of modifying this presentation, which I already had, but I modified it a little bit for Nikki and for all of you today. I wanted it to be a very special experience for you. The archangels, the four primary archangels, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, who I'm sure most of you know, came to me and said, can you give all of the audience here and Nikki this message, please? And the message is transform yourself. So take this however it may benefit you and work with you and for you, but allow yourself to know and grow and transform yourself. And this is a message for you from the archangels today. So at a glance, here is the range of creator beings. Now, this is a sampling of them. There are a lot of things out there. There's a lot of creation. There's a lot of beings out there. There's a lot of life out there. So what I'm providing for you today is a sampling or some of the lead sets of creator beings. And you can see some illustrations over here, which we'll look at a little more closely, which I, by the way, did not make these illustrations. These are borrowed from another artist. I'm not really an artist. I'm more of a speaker, but I appreciate art. And so we're going to learn more about Nikki today, creator, and kind of a little bit how creation looks, to Elohim on high, seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, archangels, angels, and virtues, dominions, powers, and principalities, and elementals and other earthly beings, or as I like to call them, earth angels. It's a lovely name, and I think you all might really enjoy that too, or even use it. So this is at a glance, or we're going to go a little deeper into all these different levels and all these different beings in this presentation today. So first, I'd like to provide my creator concept. And, out of respect to everyone that watches, the way that I see things, again, may not be the way that you see things, but there are many different kind of creator perspectives out there. So many times I'll say, universal life force energy, God, creator, source. There's lots of different kind of concepts out there. The divine. I prefer the thinker that thinks. And this is the way that I kind of see creation working, is there is a creator being. I really see it as a thinker who thinks and drops down ideas into our existence that then become us and all the things that we know of. So the thinker that thinks has ideas, and we're an idea of it. And so this is the way I kind of see God, the thinker that thinks, the creator. It's kind of like a big sound cloud. And so we are within this sound cloud as an idea, and the sound cloud is pretty big. And all of our existence is like right here in this little red circle. And inside of this red circle is all the stuff that we know, our universe and other evolving universes and other existences. And then here, the human within the idea cloud or the sound cloud is this little tiny dot right here. So, the idea, we are God, we are divine, there's no separation from it. The way I see that working is there is no separation from it. We're actually inside of it and we are it. So this illustration does a good job, I think, of communicating this idea. The big thinker that thinks, the creator is this big kind of cloud thing, and it comes up with wonderful ideas. Everything that you see and that you experience is an idea of it, including us. And our existence, in the way that I see it, is just one of many existences that the big thinker comes up with. There's other ideas out here doing stuff and however they work. Different physics systems, no thing, no physics systems. There's all kinds of different ideas at work within the big thinker that thinks. Lots of different logic systems, lots of different concepts, lots of different ways of being, personalities, all kinds of different things. Anything you can possibly imagine may exist out here, but I think probably everything that we cannot imagine probably exists out here. It's a pretty big idea. So, may this be an empowerment message, Nikki, is that we are the thing. That's what I call it personally. I have a personal relationship with it. I call it thing. And some people may go, really? You call God thing? I say, yeah, I call it thing. It's really no thing, but it's kind of the name that I use with it. I call it thing. We're inside of this big idea, this thing. It's really no thing, and we are not separated from it. We are it. So may this be a message of empowerment to all of you who listen to this. Pretty cool. And so, creator, the thinker that thinks, we are a creator being or creation idea within it. So we are a very empowered being, a divine being, if you want to say it, a God being, if you want to say it, because we're all part of it. There's no separation from it. What do you think, Nikki? Any questions?
Um, does that mean like all the angels, archangels, the creator, the seraphim, all of them are also part of this thing? And we are just part of that as well.
Yeah, we're all kind of, brothers and sisters. Everything that we experience out in space, other planets, other civilizations, all the way down to the quantum level, ants that you see, everything is it within it, and it kind of expresses itself as us. It already knows and understands everything. It just wants to see all of its ideas, all of its thinking, all of its logic acted out in a universe of thing. So we are enacted ideas that it already knows and understands, but in this creation concept, we act it all out, we march it all out, we role play it all out, and we act out all of the divine plan.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
So I know a lot of people would say, like, then what's the purpose of us coming back to our lifetimes, like many, many lifetimes over and over again? Is it just to experience ourselves in this way, in these many different ways?
A simple answer, and it's a beautiful question, by the way, is the evolution of the idea. The evolution of the idea. So the big thinker loves idea evolution, change. So as creation started before humanity, it evolved and changed and changed. Humanity has evolved and changed and changed. We're ascending, we're changing really fast and growing higher and better. It is all the evolution or the change of the creation idea. So as we kind of string together the ideas of our other lives, past lives, like you and I have worked together on past lives going back a long time, it is all stringing together ideas that correlate complex logic and ideas and thinking into a very complex system that we have now. If you look back at early humanity, it was very, very simple. In the Neolithic era 2.5 million years ago, it was very simple thinking, a very simple existence. It's evolved and become more complex and complex. And now we are stringing together other lives, past lives, going back a long time. And we are layering in ideas and concepts, logic systems, spiritual systems, all to be able to understand things much more deeply and richly. This didn't happen a long time ago. So things have developed and the idea has evolved. So the creator, the big thinker that thinks, loves idea generation, creation, and evolution.
That is fascinating. It also makes me think like back in the day, when the Mayans and the Egyptians built temples and pyramids, and we look at our structures now and we don't have that kind of technology. So there's no linear time or linear way to experience the expansion of knowledge that we've accrued over time.
Well, what's happening now, it actually is much more complex now
Oh,
because we are using all kinds of new technology, plus layering in Egyptian technology, Atlantean technology, crystalline technology. We're compounding a lot more levels of complexity, technology. We're using universal concepts and ideas, space travel, non-linear space understandings and travel. We're doing timelines work with people, which is relatively new in the mass human consciousness. And what you see is the spreading of all of these ideas on mass level. Like people talk about the world is awakening, there's a human awakening going on. Is all these ideas are spreading, they're compounding from different eras, different dimensions, Atlantean, Egyptian, Lemurian, and others, lots of different existences and civilizations. So it's all being layered up very densely right now. So we're at a very, very special time in human evolution.
that makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that. That is so cool.
It is, it is. It's a great honor to be here and to be a human right now. So if you think back to that little red circle where our existence is within the big thinker that thinks, there is inside that existence and there is outside that existence. This is just kind of like a geographic understanding so you can understand a little bit of the rest of this presentation. So outside of the little red dot, you've got the big thinker that thinks. There's other existences out there with different rule sets. And then you have inside our existence. And in the way that I see it, there are 12 dimensions. This is easy numbers. Some people see many other dimensions. Kind of at a high level, I see dimensions 1 through 12. And we are holding really a couple of different dimensions and we're moving into the higher dimensions. And there is forming what I call the evolving universe, which is dimensions 1 through 20, pardon me, dimensions 12 through 26. So we have this universe, dimensions 1 through 12. Whoops, let me go back. And then you have the evolving universe, which is dimensions 12 through 26. So these are all high ideas that are kind of beyond our understanding, many times different physics sets, different ways of seeing oneself, different kinds of bodies, no bodies. It's a lot different. But we are evolving kind of through the lower to mid levels of this universe, dimensions 1 through 12.
Thank
You
you
just
for
stop me along the way with any
that.
questions, Nikki. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I had a question because a lot of people talk about being in the fifth dimension. Is that how the 1 through 12 works? It's like we're in the third dimension moving to the fifth dimension, but there's so many more dimensions above that.
Correct. The way that I see it, we really hold dimensions 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're moving into 5 already. The way that I see it, we've been moving into the fifth dimension for probably about 2,000, 2,500 years, but like just barely inching into it. So when people talk about getting there, that's great because we need to continue to get there, but we're already kind of inching into it. So the way that I see it, if we don't have knowledge of something, then we're not exposed to it. But when we're exposed to something, we have the knowledge of it. So I think we're exposed to this information and this energy and fifth dimensional understandings generally, as the human can use them, are love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, gentleness, self-control, teachability, faith, hope, and love. These ideas have been around now for a while, and I call these fifth dimensional human understandings. But what we're trying to do as we move further and further into the fifth dimension is really master and become experts at those things. And
Mhm.
I'll say these again for your audience because I'd love for you guys to write them down because a lot of people ask and a lot of people ask me, how do I become a fifth dimensional being? How do I do the fifth dimensional thing? And what I generally say to people is master and become experts in these things in your life. And this is a great way to move into it. So I'll say the list again: love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, gentleness, self control, teachability, faith, hope, and again, because it's really important, love. And so those are fifth dimensional understandings that help us move really into five, and then we're going to move on the way all the way up to 12 and beyond.
Wow.
Pretty
So
cool, right?
it is. And that just means like right now we don't have any knowledge of the sixth dimension and beyond.
Well, we do, and some people do. Some people work with those kinds of energies that are sixth dimensional, ninth dimensional, 12th dimensional, 13th dimensional. So some people are bringing in those concepts, frequencies, vibrations, ideas, mindsets. I know a lot of people that are working with those kinds of technologies and meditations and to try to bring little bits and pieces of super high ideas in, and all those contribute to the lifting, the rising, and the moving into the higher dimensions. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Yeah, and the work that you do, by the way, you do high dimensional work. So you're really helping to lift people and lift our universe into a better place, lift the earth into higher dimensions. So, and all of you who watch, if you're a healer and, shaman doing this kind of work, really, way to go. I encourage you. I thank you for doing the work, because it's not just for you or for the people that you work with, but it is for Earth and for humanity and even our neighborhood, our universe. So here's a look at the strata or the layers of creator beings. So we talked about the creator or the thinker that thinks. We are it, we are inside of it. You could think of it as really high, and a lot of people see the divine or see the God idea as a very high idea, and that's just a way to understand it. But really, we are it, we're inside of it, it permeates this, it is the air we breathe, it is the food that we eat, it's really everything. And then from a high dimensional perspective, we have Elohim on high, and they work outside of the little thought bubble of our existence, outside of it with the big thinker that thinks, and inside of it. And we'll talk about what it does in a few moments. But this is a very large and very old group of beings, Elohim on high, or just Elohim if you want to call them that. And then you have what I call level A, which is a very high strata or layer of creation beings. And you have seraphim, cherubim, and thrones. And these are categories or classes of beings. And within them, you have categories and classes. It's a very big group of beings. And I call them on high. They're very high, they're high dimensional. They work with Elohim and creator level concepts, and bring them in lower and lower into existence. Level B, it's a little lower in terms of dimensional understandings, and they are inside of creation only, and you have archangels, angels, and virtues. And I call these mid-range, but they jump up and they jump down from the mid-range. They really work in everything, but kind of their home generally is kind of in the mid range of dimensional understandings. And then level C, inside creation only. These are more earth specific beings, and you have dominions, powers, and principalities. So again, referencing the image you saw earlier in the presentation, you've got creator, thinker that thinks, Elohim on high, seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, archangels, angels, and virtues, dominions, powers, and principalities. And those are generally the beings that we'll talk about today. And here's another kind of way to look at it. This is a hierarchical structure. Creator, thinker that thinks. Elohim is really kind of just one level down. It is a high co-creator being. So they work very closely with the big thinker that thinks. And then you have in order, in hierarchical order, really, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, archangels, angels, virtues, dominions, powers, principalities, and elementals, and other earth angels. So I call it the creation team. All of these different beings are part of the creation team. Creator creates and sustains. We're inside of it. It is us. Creator comes up with the ideas. The ideas drop down and become energy and sound, form and matter. And this is the manifestation process. And all of these creation team beings help in their own way. They all have jobs to do. Just like Nikki, you and I have a job to do. All of you watching probably have jobs to do. All of these beings have a calling, have a job, some of them very specific, and they do their job. And that's what they do. They do their job. So creator, sustainer, and enforcer beings bring the ideas into being and help keep everything in balance and in form. Now, you probably know this as a healer, many times you're trying to restore balance to a person, to their life, get them back to a place of homeostasis. Is the universe is always coming out of balance and coming out of perfect form. That's one of the things, a couple of the things that we're working on here on Earth is we're out of balance and we're out of divine or perfect form. So what we're all trying to do is fix Earth and humanity so that it can be returned to balance, homeostasis, which is kind of a medical term, which means everything is working as it should and everything is in balance, everything works, and it is in its perfect creator level divine blueprint and divine form. So we kind of got knocked out of balance, got knocked out of whack here in our earth realm, and so we're trying to get back in balance and get back to perfect form. Make sense?
It does. One of the things that has been like kind of with me is because we're humans experiencing, uh, like we're part of the divine experiencing the human experience. Is it normal to be in flux? Is it normal to, right? Because I used to have this like idea that being spiritual and being at my highest or connected to my highest self, I would have to be perfect all the time. And it was like really stressful to have to like think about that or put on an image of that, and say like, oh, my life is without stress, my life is without challenge. And so when we're going back into balance, like what does balance even mean to us, living as a human in a human experience?
It's a great question. So there's a few things in there. Let's start with balance. I would say in people's lives, there are moments, and maybe you've had these moments, Nikki, where you go, everything feels right. It's like sometimes it passes just for a moment, but you just like, you stop, you step back, and you go, everything feels right. You may even say everything feels perfect. It's like a halcyon or really bright and beautiful moment. And have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah, nowadays more so than before, like in the beginning.
So I call those moments of balance. Now, where Earth is and humanity is, it is in the way that I see it, probably difficult or even impossible for us to achieve that all the time because of where we are in our creation story, trying to kind of fix or right ourselves as Earth realm and humanity in it. Because we have been kind of knocked out of form. You may know, I know you know Metatron, those who watch may know Metatron, who I channel, says Earth hit a pothole a long time ago. Something happened in the evolution of our Earth, and it got like knocked out of perfect form and balance. And so humanity has been trying in its different evolutions to get back into balance and perfect form. So, to take the stress off of you, I would say probably none of us are ever going to achieve those moments all the time. We're all working towards it. We're all trying to achieve balance, and we're all trying to get back to our original blueprint. So my encouragement to you is when you have those little moments where you go, as you said, more and more, you feel like everything's okay, everything's perfect and in balance, really enjoy it and savor it. And as you can, duplicate those moments, knowing that life where we are right now is always kind of like boom, knocking us out, boom, knocking us out, boom, knocking us out. So it creates what I call the swing. And some of you may have known this or feel this, where you feel like, man, I feel like a swing. I'm happy, I'm sad, things are great, things are bad. There's like a big swing in my life. Does that make sense, Nikki?
Yes.
And so, encouragement is in whatever practice you have, is try to calm the swing and really focus on kind of being like right there. Just the way our system works, it's very difficult to be totally still right there without any swing and be in perfect form. But generally, life, because of where we are in the lower dimensions, we get knocked out of form. Now, because of where we are, that's why we work with the creation team. That's why all these different beings drop in and help humanity and Earth. Because as Metatron says, you do hard work. You're trying to keep it together, heal, right? Stay in balance, stay in form, slow the swing, keep it together. And because of that, all these different beings come in and help us so that we can achieve more of that, more awakening, more complex understandings, and move higher and higher and higher. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much.
It's a wonderful time to be a human, but it is also challenging. Life has challenges. I think we would be lying to ourselves if we said everything is perfect all the time, because we're trying to overcome, trying to achieve things. Now it's getting better. I really think humanity is getting better. I think Earth is getting better. In fact, I know it. We're moving into higher understandings, lighter aspects, and these kinds of things. But right now we're kind of fighting it through. And that's why we need to call on these creator beings to help us. So here's a look at kind of the creation team as a group of manifestation specialists. And really all of us, because we're creator beings too, we're always creating, we're always manifesting. And if you guys don't know it, you who watch, please know I'm always creating, I'm always manifesting, I'm a co-creator. I am the big thinker that thinks, and I do it. I, much like it, creates things and does things. And so you've got the creation team, which is creator, these creator, sustainer, enforcer, healer, and helper beings. And you have kind of like mind, ideas. Like when we create, it starts with the mind. We have soul, we have spirit, we're a multidimensional being, but a big part of the creation process is think. As you think, you are, and you go, I have an idea, I want to do this. Now we work with all the different parts and pieces to do this, but in a way, it's all like a big mind that comes up with ideas, a big thinker that thinks and creates from it. So you have, as part of the manifestation process, mind plus thought and think, or idea generation, plus energy, which we know everything is energy in our existence. Outside of our existence, it's a whole different system. But inside our existence, everything is energy. And then you have sound, frequency, vibration. We talk about raising our frequency and vibration into new and higher realms. So it's all sound, like noise. And so mind, thought, and think, idea generation, energy, and sound come together and create matter, form, and you and me, Nikki, and everybody watching, all of us, you have dogs, cats, kids, whatever it may be. This is kind of the manifestation story. And so creator, the thinker that thinks, creator, sustainer, enforcer, healer, and helper beings are all working in and through this manifestation process and helping to keep it all in perfect order. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it does. Would energy also be considered like the emotions we experience?
For sure. So energy in an easy definition is work. So energy is, in a way, logic patterns solving. doing stuff. There's potential energy, probably know that term, potential energy and energy. In a way, everything is potential energy because it's always energizing, working, 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 working. So even if you looked up the definition of energy, it would basically say things that work. A lot
Mm.
of people don't know that, especially in the spiritual realm. So everything in this existence is always working. It's always solving things out, working things out, acting things out, role playing things out. Everything from quantum particles, quarks within the subatomic structure of an atom, all the way up to large planets, our sun. It's all energy, which means it's all stuff that works, 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 works. So even our emotions, believe it or not, are all logic patterns working, and they are comprised of, in our system, energy, because we're in a universe of energy, and they produce buzz, sound, frequency, and vibration, and all work together to be us. So easy answer, yes, our emotions are energy.
That's fascinating because, I think about how I get to a point of frustration, and does that stem from the mind first? So it's like if something doesn't work out and I think about it, and then eventually I feel it, I feel the frustration, and then what actually manifests in reality from that frustration is like things not actually working out or things falling apart. Is does that like is there a logical sequence to that?
There is. Believe it or not, everything in our universe is logic. There is nothing in our universe that is not logic. Even our spiritual life is all built on logic sequences, and our emotions are all built on logic sequences. It is a secret of all of this existence, is it is all logic. And as
Mm.
logic drops down, it has a skin on it. So we are logic. We all have if then statements. All of our emotions have if then statements. So everything is logic acted out. And I'm a lover of the mind. So I think sometimes when we're dealing with challenging things, like you mentioned, it doesn't always come from our mind. It can come from inherited energies from other people. It can come from our soul saying, hey, I'm going to challenge you to work through some hard stuff, because the human is working through and working out some really hard things, some hard logic patterns that we're trying to put to rest. So as we do that, sometimes we experience some challenge in our life. Sometimes it comes from our mind, but those kinds of things can come from a lot of different places, other people, places, and things sometimes, or within us.
Very fascinating. And then another thing that came up in my own personal journey, I realized like because we're here and Earth is very action oriented place, like part of creation is actually taking action in our lives, like actually doing things, and not just sitting and thinking that it's possible. Like you have to act out on what it is that you wish to create.
For sure. I'm a believer in flow. I love flow. I love being with the flow, watching the flow, like riding the wave of life. But it is a universe of do, of act. And so we talk about like the manifestation process, and you have your summits and your special events on manifestation, magic manifestation and healing. I think that's the name of it. Is in the manifestation process, we must act. So there are other things that work with us and for us. The universe conspires with us to create. There's no other way around it. It is a structure of the existence we live in. So we're always presented with, let's say, problems or solution sets for us to react to or respond to. People come to us, they talk to us, we respond to them. We're always in response to other things, and we're always sending things out into the universe, and it responds. So it is up to us to act, and the universe, because it is a reflexive universe, is always acting and responding in response to us. Does that make sense?
It does. And then another thing is, from my understanding and study of the soul, is we have chosen certain experiences in this lifetime. So if we do have the choice to act and react to certain things in life, how much of that is actually free will and how much of that is predetermined by our soul before we came here?
It's a beautiful question. So, first, let me say free will is we choose, and I am a big teacher of choice, freedom, sovereignty. Don't take away my choice, my freedom, or sovereignty. I choose. I'm responsible for my choice sets. I have to act, like I mentioned earlier. So we work within choice. And we even have micro choices, little tiny choices that add up to big things. We have big choices. You know, you're married, you decided to get married, that's a big choice. You have two children, those are big choices. Um, so, and then you have lots of other kinds of choices. So we choose. At the same time, our soul, which chose to be here, was brought here, has a, let's say, a calling or an architecture as part of the overall divine thought and think that it wants to do. So, and you and I have talked before about soul alignment. You remember talking about soul alignment? Is our soul like has a knowledge or a know? Here are the things that I'd like, I'll use me as an example. Here are the things that I'd like Addison to do in his life. And so the soul kind of knows or has an architecture or a game plan. And then I, as a being, as a multifaceted and multidimensional being, have choice in this realm. And so I'm here and I'm going, well, you know, I really like the color blue. I really don't want to do red. And so I'm going to choose blue. And my soul's going to say, well, actually, it'd be great if you could do red. It would be ideal. It'd be kind of more perfect and planned if you can do red. And so the soul's going to say, like today, why don't you wear a red shirt for Nikki? Do red. It looks better on you. And so I kind of listen to my soul and I go, well, maybe I should do red. Yeah, I think I probably should do red today. Okay, fine, I'll do red today. So that is kind of like, in a very simple term, the fight out of the being of Addison and the soul. So the soul has an architecture, has a game plan, has a role play idea in mind. It's a big deal. It's an amazing kind of thing, the soul. And then Addison, who's comprised of many different things, then has choice, and in soul alignment, kind of the soul and the personality structure, the personality or the one that doesn't know comes together with the one that has a know and it aligns. And then you are in what I call soul alignment. So free choice is, but there is a game plan, and there generally is what I call a fight out or a little bit of a struggle. And I'm sure, you know, you and probably those watching this are familiar with that concept. You like, I feel like an internal fight or struggle within. That's probably you and your soul fighting.
Mm. And you
Your
did
question.
mention like sometimes that energy it might not be yours, right? So if your being is experiencing something from past life or something passed down from ancestors that's not true and authentic to them, it kind of muffles what they can
Mhm.
hear from their actual soul and what the soul's game plan is.
For sure. You know, a key message is our existence and we are highly, highly, highly complex. So, the way I see things, there is never one answer to a problem. There's always many answers. So, our soul has lived and lived and lived and lived and lived, as you well know. It holds a lot of data. There are procedures and rule sets that the soul goes through before it incarnates to kind of clean and pull itself together. But sometimes there are residual energies that come in from past lifetimes, etc., and can kind of throw us off balance. So as humans, there's a lot of things at play within us and around us that makes life in the region where Earth is right now kind of challenging. And again, that's why we need the creation team. And we like the creation team to come and work with us and for us to help us hold it together and move forward in the best way we possibly can.
Yeah, thank you so much for that explanation. Now everything makes sense.
Well, and I appreciate that, but there's a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot of complexity. So I'm giving just a very small piece of the puzzle. I have to acknowledge that. All right. So shall I keep going, Nikki?
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's talk about Elohim on high. And this is the very, very high strata that works directly with the thinker that thinks. And these are pattern makers and keepers. So as the thinker that thinks comes up with ideas, it passes the idea on to Elohim, who kind of act as a transitory device between the outside of creation and the inside of creation. So they understand the rule sets and the physics and all the other things of creation. So they kind of like work with the boss, if you will, the thinker that thinks, takes the idea and then creates something like patterns or templates or more densified starter concepts that work within creation that reflect the idea of the creator. So they work very closely and they bring the ideas in from creator into the concept, our existence. And these patterns are the first kind of kernels of manifestation at a very high or creation level. So then the patterns drop down, and we'll talk about where they go in a few moments. So these are Elohim beings, and they are sometimes known as originator beings, which means they were some of the very first beings concepted here in this existence, in this universe, and all other ideas that are out there. Any questions on Elohim?
No, not not right now.
Okay, we'll keep going here. And then seraphim, which are pattern makers, keepers, and developers. Very, very high beings who work really closely with the Elohim on high. So the Elohim, as we said earlier, take the kernel of the idea and get it going in the manifestation story. As they kind of drop down and develop, the seraphim pick up the patterns or the templates or the ideas or the concepts, and they take them and they make other patterns from them, they develop them, and they keep them. So they are, in a way, organizers, but they are really more than anything also pattern makers that work in a little bit lower level as the ideas drop down, and they develop the ideas in different ways. And sometimes they look for homes for the ideas. So they'll take an idea and go, hey, we need to move this idea over to the fourth dimension over there with those beings, or you need to move these ideas to the ninth dimension with those things over there. But they help kind of develop and sometimes find home for these ideas. And many times in history, you see them depicted somewhat strangely, sometimes as avian beings, and some people see them as bird beings or avian beings with lots of different wings, sometimes a big eye or many eyes. These are very old beings, just born just after the Elohim on high. Here you can see some more depictions of them. Here you see 6 wings, and you see eyes on all the wings. They see, they know, they think, they go. They're really powerful beings. And these are really religious symbols, but you could call this sacred art, going back to really before Christ times, BC times. See a lot of eyes on this winged being right here. And so this is a way that the seraphim like to manifest. They don't really look like this. They really have no form or figure. This is the way they manifest in the lower dimensions where we understand form and figure very well. And so these artists who translated these images saw them in a form and figure like this. And some people really see them like bird beings.
Wow, that is so cool.
It is, isn't it? And these are cherubim. And cherubim, sometimes in sacred art, are seen as little babies with rosy cheeks. You may have seen like little cherubic creatures or beings. Really, to me, that's not a great representation of who they are or what they do. Cherubim are very high beings as well, very old beings, and they are knowledge keepers and teachers. So they kind of take stock of all the patterns and templates and concepts and ideas that are dropping down, and they kind of gather all the knowledge from them, almost like librarians in a way. And they keep the knowledge, and then they teach the knowledge in all the lower and upper realms. They hold knowledge and they teach. They're really wonderful and insightful beings. And this is a depiction of an artist who saw a cherubim like this, the lion, a cow, an eagle, a winged being here with 4 wings, I believe. This one may have 6 wings, but a multi-winged being. And these are highly intelligent beings that have very high know, K-N-O-W.
Mhm.
Thrones, a little bit lower. Thrones are holders of energy and sound and form, and they enforce the rule sets of creation. These are very powerful beings. Many people are scared of them. Just like if you had an administrator at your school who was a tough administrator who enforced the rule sets in your school, you might be scared of that person. Well, thrones are a little bit like that. They understand the rule sets, they hold energy and sound and form, mind and matter together, and they enforce these rule sets to make sure everything is working. So thrones, even though we don't hear about them very often in the spiritual community, are working with Earth and humanity to help them create rule sets so that they can be in more true form. You could say they're bringing in higher rule sets so we can know ourselves in more perfect ways. So thrones are fantastic beings. I personally love them. Many times in art, they're depicted as these rolling kind of structures, and these are all eyes. So with tons of eyes, like all-seeing eyes, because they really do see everything. They work in and through all creation, watching it, making sure it's doing the thing that it's supposed to do. They're kind of like overseers in a way. And these are called thrones. And then we have archangels. I call them sustainer, helper, and healer beings. And of course, you know them well. Most people watching this know them well. They're generally seen as winged creatures. They can be any gender. For example, I have worked with Archangel Haniel very closely, but I work with Haniel both as a feminine kind of being, a female being, and as a male being. So I work with different aspects of that being. One thing I want to mention is all these beings are really, they're not like humans. You know, we see ourselves as like, I'm a guy, my name is Addison, like I'm a thing, you're Nikki. Yeah, you know yourself as like a thing. So these beings all have many, many aspects and don't need to be pigeonholed as one thing. So Archangel Michael, many times seen as a guy, can be female, can be no gender. They don't really have gender in truth, but as they work with humanity, they present in whatever way is needed for the recipient of their energy. So they hold multidimensional understandings and dimensional understandings. So they help the fifth dimension be the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension be the sixth dimension, and the seventh dimension be the seventh dimension. They're generally at home most in those dimensions. And they're really working right now, and they're tasked with helping Earth to ascend or move into the higher dimensions right now. And they're working with humanity to help know itself as the thinker that thinks. There are 7 primary archangels: Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Zadkiel, Jophiel, and Chamuel, all wonderful beings. And they are all associated also with color, astrology, cosmology, the universe, and planetary realms. You shaking your head, I think you probably are aware of that. So like Raphael many times is associated with the planet Mercury, for example. So they have, and the color green. So they have associations with other things in our universe. And then we have angels, which are helpers and healers. And they're similar to archangels, just not as powerful, but they do work closely with the archangels. And some archangels govern them, which means they oversee them, give them things to do, and work with them. And they're like a family, archangels and angels. It's a beautiful, beautiful family. It's one that I really encourage humanity to work with. All of you watching, if you don't work with angels or archangels, they can be very helpful. It may not be perfect for everybody, but they can be very, very helpful. Some names include Haniel, Azriel, Ariel, Hoyel, Barachiel, Jeremiel, and there are many, many others. Azrael is one of my favorite angels. I love Azrael dearly. Azrael is used to help people move on. Um, Comfort is a big gift that Azrael helps impart to humans. But as we leave this body and move on to other architectures, Azrael is very helpful in that process and helping the family that is left behind to be comforted, heal, move through the grieving process and move on, or the celebration process and move on with their life. And they're also associated with color, astrology, cosmology, and other planetary realms. And then we move into the Earth Angel region of the strata of creator, enforcer, sustainer, healer, and helper beings, the Earth Angels. So dominions, powers, and principalities is what we'll talk about now. So dominions work primarily with world governments like NATO and other kinds of large governments to help guide them, kind of make sure they're doing what they need to do, try to keep them in line and help them. And they help govern Earth in partnership with principalities and powers. Here are powers, enforcers, sustainers, and helpers. Again, Earth angels focused on dimensions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but really Earth and humanity in governance. So they work with continental powers, including cultures, societies, and authorities. So they might work more with like India or Asia or Australia as a continent, North America, South America. Continental powers, which include their cultures, societies, and authorities. Very big beings, very fascinating beings. They work really hard right now in our world today. And then principalities, also earth angels, dimensions 1 through 5, and they govern the nations and national governments and authorities. So they're another rung down. And so they're really working with everything from, since we're both in the United States currently, they work with, for example, the US government. But then they also work at the local and state level as well. So they might work with, you're in Florida, so like the Florida governmental structure, governor, et cetera, their own senate that they have there, et cetera. So these principalities, again, working very hard at a little bit lower level, are helping to keep everything in line. Because really, if humanity didn't have all of this help, I don't know that we would be alive right now. I think we probably would have blown ourselves up by now. We have a lot of help and a lot of governance.
My question is, do they work directly with the people? Like, do they maybe transmit ideas? Like, how do they work with the government? Because I know a lot in the US, the government and politics is like a big thing. Everybody's afraid that we're going to go to war. Everybody is upset at the medical system and how our politics is being run. So it's like, how are the dominions and the powers working with the government?
I would say high influence. So humans are really loud and hard to handle. So we're all working through a lot of difficult stuff. So all of these beings come in and kind of whisper ideas to them or give them little subtle nudges or help bring the right people into their lives at the right times or help calm them down if they get out of control. So they're always actively watching and saying, what ideas can we come up with? How can we orchestrate this so that we can influence governors, presidents, etc., to not mess things up too much, keep things in line, and bring in the ideas and energies that they need in order to keep things together. Does that make sense?
Ah, it does. Yeah.
So I would say they're all influenced by these beings. It's pretty interesting. They probably don't always know that, but they get ideas from somewhere, and So they're always watched and they're always kind of encouraged in a high way.
So everyone listening at home can feel at peace a little bit that we are being taken care of.
Yeah, things happen as we know, but we are a highly important human race. Earth is highly important in the all, and we are looked after and we are governed. So things probably will continue to happen here and there, but yes, you can have peace that we are a looked after and cared for in a very important place and space and race.
Whew.
Yeah, exactly. So, I wanted to show this too because, we talk a lot about archangels and angels, and many times you see kind of a single-minded idea of what that might look like. But I wanted to show some depictions of archangels and angels kind of seen through different perspectives and viewpoints and even multicultural lenses. There's a lot of different kinds of understandings of angels out there. So male, female, and many times androgynous, because really they can be no gender or fluid gender. They can change gender. They can, in truth, or no gender, but they can play different gender roles. So here you have a mighty angel, a strong female image, some peace images here. And the depiction is very kind of gold and gilded, lots of light, very pretty winged being here seen through the lens of an artist. And this one's a little bit darker. You've got some kind of shadow here, a little mystery and intrigue, but a lot of power, strong feminine, female energy, female image, beautiful depiction, white flowy gown. The artist always has an influence in the way that they see the different beings. And so as I show these to you, it is meant to be empowering for your audience to say, you know, angels and archangels and all these beings can be whatever you want them to be.
Mhm.
If you want to work with an archangel, you can say, hey, Michael, can you be this kind of Michael for me? And Michael will be like, sure, if it works for you, I will be this kind of Michael for you. Because their goal is to help. So, whatever kind of way you'd like for them to be, they can be that way for you if it works. So, this is an artist perspective of an angel, probably Gabriel, I think. And that's the way Gabriel was to that artist, which may be different than Gabriel is to you or me or somebody else. And here you see more of a dark-skinned version of Gabriel. I think this is Gabriel. Different kind of look, younger, more sensitive, more compassionate, more loving, and more kind, more accessible. And this is the way the artist saw Gabriel or wanted Gabriel to be for the artist. Very beautiful depiction, lovely eyes. Native Americans saw angels and archangels and other kinds of beings. So this is Gabriel through the lens of a Native American, really in touch with earth, butterflies, the land, animals, and things like that, with Native American beading and garb and clothing, some feathers in the hair. So this is a personal cultural understanding of Gabriel. Gabriel doesn't always have to be one cultural presentation. It can be many different kinds of things. Because truly, Gabriel is, in a way, no thing, pretending to be a thing. And this is Michael, actually. This is from the artist's rendering, what he calls samurai Michael, a fighter Michael. Very different presentation, Asian in terms of its perspective, male, sometimes female, but a fighter and a samurai, which wears that kind of name that works in that culture. Then you see here female, I believe this is either Michael or Gabriel, again with an Asian perspective. Very lovely, delicate, not fighting, but more in touch with nature. You see the trees, some bamboo in the background, some beautiful daffodils and flowers, and very thoughtful, reflective. Still the same being, just seen through a different lens and cultural perspective. Here, a male, I believe this is a Gabriel. no hair. You don't see bald angels every day in artist depictions. And he is wearing a t-shirt and jeans, very relaxed, casual, everyday kind of guy, but powerful angel, intense, beautiful eyes, but very approachable, very helpful. Again, same kind of concept, same energy, just seen through a different perspective. And then you see here a Michael, very strong, beautiful, powerful, but reflective. And this is another Gabriel, seen as very young, kind of pensive here, explorative, but this is an artist perspective or rendering of that energy. Here another Michael, lots of muscles. Here you see a little bit more kind of almost like Roman gladiator, ready to go to battle, ready to fight. Very different from a Michael we saw a few pages ago. And then this one, sculpture, very simple, simple garb, simple clothes, flowy hair, pensive and thoughtful. Same energy, different perspective. And I'll kind of go through these rather quickly. Michael, a way to understand Michael, who is like God, very powerful being, can help with courage, strength, protection, confidence. His color is generally blue or indigo, many times seen holding a sword and shield. Gabriel, known as the strength of God, inspiration, communication, guidance, clarity. Color associated with Gabriel is generally white. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's orange, but generally white, and holds either a spear or a trumpet. Gabriel is known as a communicator. So sometimes you see Gabriel with a horn announcing things, the messenger of God, giving messages, communications, and all those kinds of things. Gabriel's a wonderful angel. Raphael, known as the healing angel, God heals, the master healer. Raphael can help with healing, nurturing, teaching, leading. Color is green and generally holds a caduceus staff. And the caduceus, many of you who are healers know this, has the two snakes curled around a staff with wings and the 7 colors for the chakras, indicating the Kundalini energy rising and the healing of the energy being. That's a caduceus staff. So Raphael many times is seen holding that in different depictions. Archangel Uriel, the fire of God, can help with prosperity, knowledge, wisdom, grace. Color is red, and he holds a sword or sometimes a book or papyrus scroll indicating wisdom and knowledge. Wonderful angel. I work with Uriel quite a bit and love him a lot. Recommend him for all of these things in your own life. Zadkiel, known as the grace of God, can help with transformation, personal transformation, career transformation, relationship transformation. Can help with mercy, enlightenment, and forgiveness. Color is generally purple and or violet, and is associated with the Ascended Master Saint Germain and the violet ray. So if you know the violet ray practice, you can work with Archangel Zadkiel to help with that. Archangel Jophiel, the beauty of God, can help with understanding and appreciating your own beauty, inspiration, help you overcome, help you become more whole. Color is generally yellow and is seen with the light of illumination many times, kind of this illuminating presence to help people to know. Archangel Kamael, one who sees God, can help with love, peace, compassion, service and help, creativity. Color is pink and is many times seen with an active or pulsing heart, a really beautiful angel and energy. And so the creation team is here to help. I encourage you, if you'd like, if you wish, if you're willing to collaborate with them. It can be a very powerful and happy collaboration. And so thank you and be well. And I'm happy to take any questions you have, Nikki.
Yeah, thank you so much. Some people may not be familiar with how to work with the angels or the archangels. Do you have any suggestions on how they can like ask for help or connect with their angels?
For sure. Well, if they already have guides, check in with your guides first and see, one, do I need to work with the archangels or angels? And if yes, then which one or ones? And if you're not already working with guides or angels, I say kind of get with your heart, get with your soul, and think about it with those parts of you and say which angel, start with one, really resonates with me. So if it's Uriel, for example, who I work with really closely, you would say, okay, Uriel's the right one. It feels right. It sounds right. You sit with it for maybe a day or two. Yeah, Uriel's where I need to start. And then get with your heart and your soul and say, Soul, please call Archangel Uriel with me, or call Archangel Uriel to me. I would like to work with Archangel Uriel. And if you get a yes, we can do that, your soul will help bring Archangel Uriel to you. And then you just say Archangel Uriel 3 times. Archangel Uriel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Uriel. I ask you to work with me and for me in and of the light. And I always encourage people, whenever you're working with beings that are non-physical beings, always confirm with your mind, your heart, and your soul, your whole being, that this is indeed the being that you're working with, and they are indeed in and of the light. And there's a lot of different beings out there. So always make sure you're connecting with the right one, the real one, the authentic one, and then verify with your heart, your soul, your mind, your whole dimensional self, multidimensional self, that you're working with Archangel Uriel in and of the light. And if you get a good solid yes with that, then you can invite Archangel Uriel to help work with you and for you, and then ask Uriel for what you need. It could be guidance, could be to bring things into your life, could be to bring wisdom and knowledge and prosperity into your life, and then just watch what unfolds next.
Wow, thank you so much. And I know you mentioned before, so like for me, you said I had a high dimensional energy. Um, is that resonant for different people? Is that like, because I wasn't aware of this, so when you brought it up, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't know.
Well, the way I see it in the world today, there are people like you who are very important beings, very important soul energies that are dropping in all over the place. So, all the different creator and sustainer, enforcer, healer, and helper beings that we talked about, they all have energies of themselves that are dropping in at the soul level into Earth today. So, can I talk about your own energy as associated with these beings in
Yes,
front of
please.
everybody? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to respect your sovereignty and your privacy and your confidentiality. Is you're a seraphim energy? That's part of who you are. You have like a seraphim aspect of yourself, if you want to look at it the other way. So that energy has dropped in into your soul, and that's part of who you are. So you hold that energy. So there are lots of people in the world today who have archangelic energies that are part of them, seraphimic, um, thrones, dominions of powers, etc. That's all part of their soul energy, and that's one of the things that's helping Earth arise, is because some of us have very special, unique energies within us that help us really make a difference in the world. And there are other different kinds of otherworldly energies that drop in, like star seeds. I think everybody watching this knows star seeds. It's a similar kind of concept, is that you're bringing in those kind of otherworldly energies in at the soul or higher self or oversoul level, and you are exhibiting those energies in the world. And so this concept is one of the concepts that's really helping humanity awaken right now. Does that make sense? And did that answer your question?
It does. So that brings me to like say the seraphim angels are all the different kinds of creator energies or creator beings. They're we don't exist as just one form. Like it can be split into energetic forms. And oh, okay.
Oh, for sure.
Interesting.
One thing I encourage everyone to remember is, as the human, we think like a human.
Yeah.
We bring in high ideas, but we kind of work in like thing, thing. Like we're a thing. And, we don't really give our energy away. But kind of beyond the human experience, there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of energy movement. everything is much more flexible than what we as the human think, and a lot bigger. So, I know other people that have seraphim energies or Elohim energies. They're really almost like an Elohim embodied in form because they carry a lot of Elohim energy, and that they're still them. There's other parts and pieces to them. We're really multidimensional. We're not one thing, we're many. And so, it is a part of who we are, those that carry those energies. So I encourage you and others who do carry those kinds of energies to get to know that, get to know yourself as very special and unique, very powerful, and allow those energies to come through. And many times I say, let your soul shine, let it shine through you. In a way, those high energies, which are part of your soul, when allowed, can really shine through. And it helps change your life and helps change the world around you.
Mm. And that's what we referred to from the beginning, where the archangels pass the message that says, transform yourself. It's really coming back to an understanding of who you really are.
I would say that's one of the biggest things that humanity is working through right now. It's one of the big logic problems that we're trying to solve, one of the big spiritual evolution components that we're working on right now is I'm more than just Addison. I'm more than just a guy. I'm special. If I want, I don't really call myself special, but I could. I'm many things. I'm more than just a one. And we're all kind of on the spiritual path trying to discover ourselves more completely, more fully, more in truth. I think that's been part of your path, like knowing myself, healing a lot of stuff. But in the process, you learned a lot about yourself. You're like, wow, I didn't know that I was consistently a writer, a teacher, a healer, and a person who inspired other people. So when you learn more about the totality of you in this single life that you live as Nikki or as Addison, we can bring those components, those aspects through, and we become a lot bigger than what we were before. A lot more truth because we're exhibiting kind of in the discovery of us, and we're letting all of that shine through.
Mm. And I know last time we had a conversation, one of the biggest messages you had for humanity in general was that we should stop killing other people. So could you share that with us? Because I think that's really important for us to to
It
know.
is. It's one of my messages, but I really got that specific message from Metatron, who I channel. And he says this to people a lot is humanity, please don't kill yourself. And it really is one of the things that humanity is trying to solve because in a way we've gotten better and better, but in a way we're just killing each other in different ways. So stop killing yourself, love your neighbor as yourself, let love be a part of your existence, become an expert in love, see others as yourself. We are all connected. There's a video on my YouTube channel called We Are All Connected Art, and that's a channeled message by Metatron. It's a beautiful message. We are all connected art because we're all beautiful, complex, artistic structures. We are art and we are all connected. We're all kind of strung together in this beautiful puzzle and artistry of existence. So why kill each other? Let's be kind to each other, be nice to each other, and love each other. In a way, humanity is trying to be nicer and nicer and nicer and trying to stop hurting each other and try to lift each other up. So I always encourage people be nice, be kind, and lift each other up. And that's really how we all rise.
Yeah, thank you so much, Addison, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us today. I am eternally grateful for your presence in my life. So thank you so much. And if anybody watching would like to reach out to Addison, I will have his website in the email as well. So there.
Well, Nikki, I thank you and everybody watching. Thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. I hope it helped, benefited or encouraged you. And Nikki, I love you dearly. Thank you. You've changed my life, and I appreciate all of your kindness to me. And those of you that have not checked out Nikki's work, please do so. She is a really phenomenal, very powerful being, and also a really powerful and phenomenal healer. So Thank you, Nikki.
It means the world to me. Thank you. And that's bye
Pleasure.
for now.
Bye bye.